Ever wonder why when gas prices shoot through the roof, we all complain, but we still fill up our tanks? But then, if your favorite soda goes up by just a quarter, you might just switch brands without a second thought. Well, the answer to that puzzle is a huge idea in economics called elasticity. It's the key to understanding how we all react to changes in price.
So let's put ourselves in the shoes of a business owner for a second. You want to make more money, right? The most obvious way to do that seems to be to just raise your prices. It sounds simple, but that one decision can literally make or break your entire business. Because here's the deal, raising prices can go one of two ways. In scenario A, you bump up the price and your revenue just soars. Success. But in scenario B, you do the exact same thing and your revenue completely falls off a cliff. So what gives? Why the completely different outcomes? Well, the difference between that soaring success and that crushing failure. It all comes down to one single, incredibly powerful idea. It's really the secret to unlocking why we buy what we buy. And that brings us to our first section. We're going to tackle that billion-dollar question by really digging into how we, as consumers, actually respond. And that powerful idea, it's called elasticity. You know, it sounds kind of technical, but at its heart, it's just a measure of responsiveness. It's about how much we react when market conditions change, like a price going up or down. Now, there are a few different kinds of elasticity, but we're going to focus on the big one. I want you to think about consumer demand like it's a rubber band. Some rubber bands are super stretchy, others are really tight. Our goal is to measure that stretch. And the way we measure that is with something called the price elasticity of demand. Yeah, I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but the concept is actually pretty simple. It just measures how much the quantity of something people want to buy changes when the price of it changes. That's it. So how do we actually calculate that stretchiness? Well, economists use this formula you see right here. And don't let it scare you, it's simpler than it looks. It's just the percentage change in the amount people buy divided by the percentage change in the price. It's just a way to put a hard number on our shopping habits. Okay, let's make this real. Imagine your favorite ice cream shop raises the price of a cone from $2 to $2.20. Because of that, over the summer, you decide to buy only 8 cones instead of the 10 you usually get. Okay, we have our numbers. Now we just plug those numbers into the formula. The price went up by 10%. In your response, you bought 20% fewer cones. So we take that 20% drop in quantity and we divide it by the 10% rise in price. And what do we get? The number 2. So what in the world does a 2 mean? Well, in economics, any number bigger than 1 tells us that demand is elastic. It's a clear sign that for ice cream cones, people are super sensitive to price changes. That number, 2, it's just one spot on a whole spectrum. And this spectrum is how economists classify everything, from things we absolutely need to things that are just nice to have. On one end, you've got inelastic demand. That's when the number is less than 1. These are the things we buy no matter what, right? Necessities like medicine. The price can go up, but we still need it. On the other end, you have elastic demand, where the number is greater than 1. That was our ice cream. These are luxuries or things with tons of other options, like a specific brand of soda. If the price goes up, we just buy something else. And you can literally see the difference on a graph. Take a look at the inelastic curve on the left. See how steep it is? That means even a big change in price causes only a tiny little change in how much people buy. But the elastic curve on the right, it's much flatter. A small price change there causes a massive drop in sales. Okay, so this is the moment we've been building up to, the payoff. Let's take everything we've learned and use it to solve that puzzle for our business owner. Here it is, the first golden rule. If your product has inelastic demand, meaning people are going to buy it anyway, then raising the price will actually increase your total revenue. Why? Because the extra cash you get from that higher price more than makes up for the handful of customers you might lose. And this chart shows it perfectly. Let's say we're talking about something inelastic, like that medicine. At a price of $1, the company sells 100 units and makes $100. Then they triple the price to $3. Sure, they sell a little less, 80 units, but look at the revenue. It jumps all the way to $240. The price hike was so powerful, it easily beat the small dip in sales. But, and this is a huge but, here's the second rule. If your product has elastic demand, raising the price is an absolute disaster. It will crush your total revenue. That's because the flood of customers who leave far outweighs the extra little bit you're charging. And here's the proof in picture form. At $4, this company is making $200 in revenue. They decide to get a little greedy and raise the price to $5. But because demand is elastic, customers flee. So many leave, in fact, that their total revenue gets cut in half, dropping to just $100. Ouch. This table really tells the whole story. Just follow that total revenue column with your eyes. As the price goes from $1 up to $3, revenue keeps climbing. That's our inelastic zone. But watch what happens right after $3. Revenue hits its peak and then it starts to fall. That is the exact tipping point where demand flips from inelastic to elastic and where those price hikes start to backfire. So now we've totally cracked the code on price and demand. But it's worth knowing that this whole idea of elasticity is way bigger. It's a super versatile tool that helps explain all sorts of things. For example, economists also use income elasticity. That tells us how our spending habits change when we get a raise. Or there's cross-price elasticity, which is awesome. It measures what happens to Coke sales when Pepsi puts their cans on sale. And it's not just about buyers. There's also price elasticity of supply, which measures how willing companies are to make more stuff when they can sell it for a higher price. So what's the big takeaway here? Elasticity isn't just some dusty formula in a textbook. It is the invisible logic driving a ton of decisions you see every single day. It's why a farmer's market might slash prices on tomatoes at the end of the day, but your local gas station almost never does. Governments even use this to decide what to tax. They put high taxes on things like cigarettes because they know demand is inelastic, so people will pay it. So now that you know the secret, what examples are you going to start seeing all around you?